All right, welcome back to the CyberTalk with Bob and Chris. I'm Chris.
I'm
That's
Bob.
Bob, and our names
There
are
we
on,
go.
over top of us. So at least we got that going for us. This week we got some interesting stuff, right? So we're gonna open up with a new ransomware. I saw this a couple days ago. I made the video and then forgot to post it, so that's my bad. I've been doing a business conference thing for like 3 days virtual until like 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. So my days are all screwed up. But they actually put a picture of Mortal Kombat on your screen when they're asking for the ransom, and all I
Oh
can think in
no.
my head is finish him and fatality. That's literally I kind of laugh because the name is just epic. But here's the thing: we talked last week about admins being lazy, irresponsible, making questionable decisions, right? With putting like VMware on the internet. Well, guess what? These guys use remote desktop. If you have remote desktop on the internet, they're scanning for it, and they're trying to break in through remote desktop, and that's how they're spreading their malware. On top of that, they have another piece of malware that's a clipper malware that's basically trying to steal your financial information. So like your Bitcoin wallets, crypto wallets in general, or other financial information. That's what's happening right now. But it literally puts a picture of Scorpion from Mortal Kombat on your background when it's asked for the ransom. So I don't know why I'm so entertained by that, but it's terrible these
Because
people are
you're a
getting hit with
gamer.
this.
Because you were a gamer.
Yeah, I haven't played Mortal Kombat in a long time though.
Hey.
But a bigger news that I think is coming out, and this is we're going to translate this a little bit. Translate. See,
There we go.
business email compromise. There's a business email compromise. There's two groups out there that are doing attacks on businesses, but they're using Google Translate to translate the phishing messages into 13 different languages. So normal
And
security, they posted a blog on February 16th, kind of detailing this. And one of the groups is called Midnight Hedgehog, which I love.
Midnight
And the other
Hedgehog.
group, yep, and the other group is called Mandarin Capybara, which you can look that up. It's an ugly animal.
Where do
At
they
least
come up
everybody
with
knows
these
what a
names?
hedgehog is. What?
Where do they? Who's coming up with these names? The
I'll be
groups
honest.
themselves?
I'm just glad they're not panda shaming anymore because a lot of the APTs out there are named after pandas, advanced persistent threats. Like these guys are just they're financially motivated. So what they're trying to do, if you read through the article, is
Yeah.
they're doing like invoice manipulation, things like that. They're trying to get access to accounts and do invoice manipulation. So
So before we get into the invoice manipulation, let's go back to the translate pieces for a minute because I've actually
yeah,
seen some stuff where that Google Translate was used in the past by in the
yep,
academic space where a kid would take an article, take an assignment, convert it to Japanese, and then convert it back to another language and back to English just to randomize the words a little bit. So that's kind of probably kind of what's happening here, and
yeah,
it also makes me think about the Chat GPT stuff that's out there today.
yep.
There's a lot of people playing with the beta over there, where it's becoming a personal assistant. And I have uploaded articles to it and said, okay, rewrite the article, and it rewrote the whole article, and removed a lot of differences, which would make it really impossible for some of these search engines to easily identify it. But
Well,
it's pretty crazy. And the Chat GPT allows you to rewrite it in any tone you want. You could literally go in and say, rewrite this as a
yep.
fifth grader, and it'll condense it down. Or if you don't like the way it's written, say, please regenerate, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, they're releasing a tool for the whole plagiarism thing and using AI to write your essays that's supposed to detect it. But
Yeah, I actually saw that. I think it was a Princeton grad that went home one night and actually got together with a friend and actually totally changed what he was going to be doing for the rest of his life. And
yeah, I think OpenAI themselves is going to produce one too. The guys that created ChatGPT, which if you really dig into it, um, they're the language model too for AI that's powering Bing's new beta
yep,
release as well. The difference is Bing allows you to actually have newer data, right? So ChatGPT, the data is based, the model ended in like early 2021, but Bing can combine a newer language model and actually look on the internet and actually bring stuff in for context. Although it is making errors. Like I'd asked it, like, I don't know, provide me with the top cyber attacks for like 2022, and it showed me a bunch of stuff from 2021. So, it is beta. It's not
Sure.
perfect, but it's going to change. To your point, it's going to change the game. I mean, if we're writing phishing emails, and to your point, let's say you're trying to attack, I don't know, Texas or someplace in the South, right? You could say write it with a Southern twang or something like that.
Absolutely.
In New York, write it like a New Yorker would write it, right? California, same deal. Other countries, write it like this region of, I don't know, say India would write it, and it could write it, to a point where it's going to be very convincing for people, especially if you're writing it from a standpoint, like let's say you took over an account for like a customer, like a vendor, and you're trying to get an invoice sent to you or paid. If you can write it in their language, like their dialect, their tone, like take a piece of their content, give it to AI, and have it rewrite it, it's going to be almost impossible to know.
Yep.
And it's dangerous, but it's also exciting because I think what's being missed a lot of this with AI is just how much of a force multiplier it is just going to be for everybody. Like if you leverage AI in the right way, it's going to make you more productive.
Right. And people are, there's been, people, I got a text message last night talking about having an AI chatbot conversation with this
Mhm.
guy. And he's like, well, this is going to put content writers out of business. This. No, it's going to, it's just going to increase the skills that they need to have. But they're going to do more complex, you're going to be able to do more complex things. It's just another automation tool, And in some cases, I actually said to him, I said, it's, this is going to bring some of these jobs that might have gone offshore back into the U.S. where people can do the rest of the work.
Well, and it still makes
So
mistakes. So saying
it
it's
makes
going
a mistake.
to get rid of content writers is kind of is it gonna reduce the number of content writers that exist? Maybe, but good
So I
content's
was
good content.
so I was looking at there's actually an IT service provider now that's out there that is 100% chat based, and they're
Mhm.
using a whole lot of AI to answer this stuff. Yeah, it's coming in ultra cheap, but
Yep.
some of the things that I saw last week was you can't just sign up for a month. You have to sign up for a year with these guys, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the best support that you're going to get. But people think, oh, it's AI, it's going to be smart and intelligent. No, we're not. We're not Skynet.
Well, again, when you talk about machine learning, you talk about AI. It's all about the data that's fed into it, right?
Sure.
Like and
So
ChatGPT is still like the one that's going to be released this year should be version 4. It's going to have, I forgot what the multiple is, but the multiple on the amount of data set, the data set is insane.
but that goes back to your point. It all has to be trained, and we all know that everything on the internet is absolutely 100% true, right? So how do you tell? How do you tell
I'm not answering that
ChatGPT?
question. We're on video.
Yeah, I know it's not true, but people think people are like, oh, I saw it on the internet. Well, the bot doesn't know the difference. The,
Well,
uh, the the AI might not know the difference unless it figures out how to start correlating data and looking at it in different points. Because to your point, I actually tried to do some research with the Chat GPT
mhm.
about a data breach, and it wrote a totally fictitious data breach because I'm assuming that this company that I was trying to reference was listed on the same article as somebody else.
Yeah. Well, that's where fact
And
checking comes in, right? That's where we
oh
need
yeah,
humans still. So AI is really good about filtering things and creating things, but there still needs to be fact checking. There still needs to be the human element to it and put your spin on it. But to that point, like when you're creating, let's say you go have ChatGPT or Bing or whatever AI create like a sales letter for you, right? Well, if you're
yep,
not good at creating the template, creating that base, it's just saved you a ton of time. And now you can go through as the owner or the person that's going to send it, customize it the way that you want to based off of what it gives you. If you like what it gives you, that's great. You can send it, or you can customize it to a point. that's more to your talking, more about you, and send it. And the thing is,
Yeah,
we
no,
haven't.
it definitely requires thought. But even before
Yeah,
ChatGPT, I know people that sent out sales letters and didn't put their own name in it
that may not be recommended course of action.
because they
Well,
downloaded a copy from someplace and said, "Oh, this is a good sales letter. It's close to what I do," and they sent it out.
I could see that. That's a oops.
So
And
anyway,
we haven't even got to the
ChatGPT.
point. Well, in ChatGPT, but we haven't even got to the point of, to your point, you said something about everything in the internet's true, right? And a lot of people do believe everything they read in the internet. But also, one of the scarier things is they believe everything they see in video or everything they hear in audio. And AI is changing that. And I don't think enough has been put towards deepfakes.
Right.
We see,
But
we've joked about Photoshop for years, right? You can tell, you can use some computer algorithms, you can tell when something's photoshopped, or you can just look at it and probably tell for the most part. But some of these video deepfakes are getting so good that it's going to get really difficult for people to really tell the difference. So our, like, in court and things like that, like, everybody sees if it's on video, it's real. That's not the case.
right.
That's
And
absolutely not the case.
and there are AI based photo editing options now. Because I saw something where it was like, okay, it was taking verbal commands: draw me a lake, put a swan in it, put a boat over here, and it was
Yeah.
actually doing it and giving reasonable quality pictures. So yeah,
Yeah, you got the
nothing is going to.
text to video, or text to text to art. It's AI art basically. It's like text to drawing or whatever.
Yep.
But, like, yeah, the videos are going to be the video and the audio, because right now there's I forgot what it was called, but there's one out there that has almost a ton of people's voices, so you can just change your voice to whoever you want. You want to sound like Morgan Freeman? You sound like Morgan Freeman. It's actually pretty cool. I should use that on one of these. I'll just use one of those voice changers and I'll just change my voice to like Morgan Freeman or something like that.
Well, Zoom on the PC now actually gives you the option to be an avatar for your video feed.
I'm not going that far.
So, but I know, but it's the avatar is one thing, but if you take that, you could easily put a video up of somebody else, and if you can lip sync it, if you don't have to lip sync it, you're going to actually have the AI recode your voice into somebody else's.
Well,
that's great.
So let's end this with this. Business email compromise is dangerous anyway. People get tricked on phishing all the time. AI is going to help write better phishing, so business email compromise is going to be a bigger issue. But as we get into where audio can be done at a more efficient rate, can you imagine if you're the owner of a company and your voice gets put into AI, and now somebody calls and leaves a voicemail for one of your employees and tells them to do something, and it's clearly your voice. It sounds exactly like you, and they go do that.
I think you just advertised a new direction for the bad guys.
I mean, you could technically run a video. I mean, you could probably do like a chat with somebody over Teams and whatnot. And if you had a video feed that could feed in there and be AI generated of somebody, like there's a lot of bad that's going to come out of this, but there's a lot of good that's going to come out of it. And I don't think people have had that conversation. Everybody is like all excited about the good, and then some people are the other way. The doomsdayers are like, oh my god, AI is terrible. Well, there's a middle ground here, and I think probably over the next few weeks or few months we'll probably discuss it more and more. But yeah, I think you got to think about this. AI is going to affect your business whether you think it is or isn't, right? If you haven't thought about AI in your business, you need to start thinking about strategies behind that. I can't wait for cyber insurance. I just went through my renewal, and I'm reading, like, I put on LinkedIn like how bricking now is in my cyber insurance policy, but then they put restrictions on like social media. If social media is or social engineering, if social engineering is used to lead to like some sort of financial fraud, I'm only covered for an eighth of what my total policies were, maximum. So,
and I saw some policies that actually had kidnapping in them too for the business. I'm like, really?
yeah, mine has that. It's capped at 50,000. So I told my employees, I'm like, if you get kidnapped, I got an aggregate 50,000. So make sure your ransom is less than that. I was
So,
joking.
so is this the point in the call where we actually say that this entire call was an AI generated call, and we're not really sitting here right now?
Actually, if that was the case, that'd be awesome. We should work on that. That's what we're gonna work on. We're gonna work on deep faking ourselves, so we just don't have to do this every week, or we
So
can do it
anyway,
every
guys,
day, and then people won't know.
business email we can go back to the really root
Yeah.
of what was going on here. Is
Yep.
business email compromise is happening every day. It's the number one way people are getting into your accounts. And when the bad guys get into your accounts, they start sending email as you, using using your identity and whatever other information happens to be in your email account. If you got an email business compromise, reach out. Let's talk about it. You can't just reset the password and move on. You need to figure out how long they've been in there, what these bad guys accessed, and what the next step is, because something's
I
going to
mean,
happen.
they can reset the password, but if they don't do it
They
right,
can. They should
just
reset the
gonna happen.
password, but that's not the end of the game.
No, you should have logging. You should be able to replay it. You need to do true incident response, things like that. But hey, you know what? If that's what you choose to do, just understand that you may have not actually solved the problem. So,
Yep.
on that note, AI will sign off now.
Okay, everyone.